Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM and the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is going to be the setup of General Flynn and President Trump. Now, to all the deep state zealots out there that are saying, set up, please. Oh, yeah, set up. And it's starting to rear its ugly head and starting to show even the most brain dead of zealots. What happened in the past 24 hours? Well, how about this? The gossip blower. Do not dignify this Eric Charmella, who is the mainstream media portrays as a whistleblower patriot. This guy is a leaker. He was a spy inserted within the Trump administration by who? The CIA. And who in the CIA inserted him? How about John Brennan, the former director of the CIA under Obama? His attorney, this Mark Zed character, this has been an operation, a setup operation leading to impeachment for years. And how do we know that? Well, because little Zed seemed to put the cards on the table as far back as 2017. Yeah. He had a couple tweets that are really quite interesting. Now remember, Zed is linked to John Podesta, the Clintons, and little Chucky Schumer. Yeah, deep state puppets. He came out on July 1st of 2017, tweeted the following: "It's very scary. We will get rid of him being President Trump. And this country is strong enough to survive even him and his supporters. We have to." But he also had a tweet very soon after President Trump was inaugurated in January 2017. In fact, on January 30th, 2017. The coup has started. The coup has started. If you look back on this YouTube channel, as far back as April of 2017, I called it a coup, and I was denigrated, demeaned, slandered, liable for calling it a coup. Well, look, right out of the horse's mouth, Mark Zed, this deep state puppet, is already telling you the coup has started. This entire Ukrainian hoax, as we've outlined before in previous videos, was all a setup. Just as the fake Russian collusion hoax was a setup. And just as the takedown of General Michael Flynn was a setup. On this Sunday's Operation Freedom radio show, it's free. The podcasts are part of our subscription platform, but you can listen to it free, live, Sunday, 2 to 5. We're going to delve into this further. And in particular, I'm going to have a special guest on. Barbara Flynn Redgate, the sister of General Michael Flynn, is going to be a special guest on my radio show. I encourage you to join us. All you have to do is go to davejanda.com. We made it very easy now. Right in the middle of the homepage of our website, davejanda.com, there's a listen live button. Listen button. Hit it. It'll take you to Wham Talk 1600 streaming channel, and then just hit the little play button, and you're tuned in. 2 to 5. Outstanding guests, outstanding content, outstanding analysis. But we're going to speak with Barbara Flynn Redgate about the following. There is actually, you should be aware of this, on November 14th, Thursday, at 7 p.m., there is going to be an online auction to benefit General Flynn's defense fund. And the way you get to participate in that is you go to YouTube, and the YouTube channel is Deacon, D-E-A-C-O-N, Deacon TV. Deacon TV. 7 p.m. Eastern, it starts. They're going to be auctioning off artwork that the benefits, the proceeds, will benefit the Flynn Defense Fund. And let's face it, I tweeted about this the other night. Outside of the Oval Office, what General Flynn and his fantastic attorney, Sidney Powell, have done is taken on the deep state in hand-to-hand combat. Now, this is something that should have been done by umpteen players in the Trump administration. But outside of that Oval Office, and President Trump has taken on the deep state, there are very few people within the government, within Congress, within the Trump administration that have done what General Flynn and Sidney Powell have done. They have exposed the underbelly of the deep state and exposed the setup operation. There's been some big developments in the General Flynn case just in the past week. And look what happened. Recently, General Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, filed what's called a motion to compel brief on providing what's called Brady material. Brady material is material that would exonerate a client that the government, in this case, the prosecution, is holding. And in fact, Sidney Powell, with her due diligence and hard work, and through some sources, had determined that there was a tremendous amount of information that the government was holding that exonerated General Flynn, which should have prevented them from even charging him, but they never told General Flynn or his previous attorneys about it. And Sidney Powell got wind of it and brought it to the judge's attention. Remember, she had an ex parte, that's a solo meeting with the judge, presented him information to the point where the judge said, okay, motion to compel, hit it. And Sidney and her team did, and hit it, they did. They gutted the prosecution with that motion to compel. And they pointed out information that they had become knowledgeable about, that the government was holding, that exonerated their client, General Flynn. So the government had to respond. And when they respond, it's called a surreptitious reply to the court. Now, this was well outlined. A great website, the Conservative Treehouse, outlined this, actually. And it's interesting, and what the Conservative Treehouse states here is factually 100% correct. And here's what they say. The prosecution, the government, argues it had, now listen to this. Does this sound like something out of what should be the United States judicial system? Or does this sound like something out of East Germany or Communist China or the Soviet Union? The prosecution argues it had no obligation to tell the target, General Flynn, about any material favorable to the defense while the prosecution was piling on pressure to generate a plea agreement. Then once the plea was coerced, the prosecution claims they have no obligation to provide Brady material or exoneration material because the target, General Flynn, had already signed a plea. Incredible. In addition, so Sidney Powell and her team called that into question. What do you mean you're not? There's statute that says you have to do this. The judge overseeing this case, Judge Sullivan, has ruled on this prior in other cases. If there's Brady material, if there is exoneration, hey, the defense should be. Why? If there's evidence to show the innocence, why is the government even prosecuting him? Excuse me, not prosecuting, persecuting him really is the term. But in addition, based on information and data that Sidney Powell had come in contact with, she questioned the legitimacy of the 302 forms the FBI had filled out. So when General Flynn was interviewed, ambushed on January 24, 2017 at the White House, he was interviewed by Strzok, that lovely individual, deep state player, and another FBI agent, Platinka. And they both took notes. Okay? After they take notes, they get together and they produce a report. And FBI protocol says it must be done within 5 days. Guess what? It wasn't. And based on information that Sidney Powell had come in contact with and provided, not through the government, but through another source or sources, it showed that, in fact, Strzok and Platinka's notes weren't jiving, and in fact, it appears Strzok's squeeze, Lisa Page, was actually editing the documents. And it was all under the supervision of, that lovely Andrew McCabe. That's right. So the guys who interviewed, remember, the guys who interviewed Strzok and Platinka said they didn't think Flynn lied, yet the 302 reports were not consistent with that. And it's because they were edited by people that weren't even in the room. Remember, that interview wasn't recorded. McCabe and Page edited the 302s to set up, to frame General Flynn. I mean, this is like something out of, as I said, East Germany, Communist China. Conservative Treehouse laid it all on the line. And remember, then something really big happened after this response. So the judge, Sullivan, allowed Sidney Powell and her team to file a response to the prosecution's response. And then something huge happened. And I'm not aware of this ever happening before. The Justice Department admitted that, we really messed up on those 302s. The whole predicate for charging General Flynn was on the 302 forms. That Sidney Powell and her team concluded had been edited and changed. This from the Conservative Treehouse. Department of Justice makes jaw-dropping admission in Flynn case. This is on November 5th. Prosecution mistakenly attributed the wrong notes to the wrong FBI agents. Prosecutor Brandon Van Grack sends a letter to Flynn's defense team today containing a stunning, almost impossible to comprehend admission of a mistake central to the claims of the prosecution. In March of 2018, the FBI presented notes taken by agents Platinka and Strzok. Now they say they made a mistake. For almost 2 years, the Department of Justice misidentified, misattributed, and never corrected that the authors of the Flynn interview notes were actually reversed. And all the notes attributed to FBI agent Strzok actually were taken by Platinka and vice versa. They go on. The Department of Justice never confirmed the authorship of the FBI notes that are central to the 302 forms, upon which the entire prosecution claim of General Flynn lying to investigators is based. The entire FBI case against Flynn, meaning the central element that he lied to FBI investigators, which he didn't do, is predicated on the 302 interview reports generated by 2 FBI agents, which were later discovered through Sidney Powell to have been edited, shaped, and approved by who? Right, Andrew McCabe. Right, yeah. The guy whose wife ran for public office in Virginia and was funded for $700,000 through the Clintons. Yeah, that same Andrew McCabe. And for almost 2 years, the entire outline of their documented evidence has been misattributed. As the Conservative Treehouse, this is beyond sketchy, right? Obviously, what triggered this re-review of the notes was a smart sir reply from Sidney Powell and her team from the defense that highlighted how Peter Strzok's notes were far too neat, organized, and well-constructed to have been written during an actual interview. For the prosecution to now reverse course and say that agent attribution was transposed is either the biggest screw-up in a high-profile case, or the prosecution now needs to reverse the note takers due to the common sense and the reasons highlighted by the defense. In other words, it was all a setup. The prosecutors, led by Mueller's team, were going to send an innocent man, General Flynn, to jail based on a fictitious, made-up, set-up report. Those 302s. That's the deep state. That's our enemy. And that's who we're going to be dissecting this Sunday. Barbara Flynn Redgate is going to be our guest. I assure you, you will get none of this information in the bought-off lamestream fake media. Join Deacon TV Thursday, November 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern for the auction. We'll have a link to the General Flynn Defense Fund, because it's not just General Flynn on trial here. It's our country's future. It's you. It's me. It's all of us. It's every American. It's our freedom. Join us Sunday, 2 to 5 Eastern, live. I hope you'll consider becoming a member, a subscriber to DaveJanda.com. The extra shows, the WTF show, the Insider Insight show, our contributing editor section, the podcast for our radio show, all available. I believe one of the biggest bangs for the buck in all the internet. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big. Dare to fail. Thank you for your time today.